I don't know, man. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd worry about my own club. Your club just can't seem to get it over the line, and I don't know if you ever will. Don't talk about my club. Don't talk about my club, especially this dude. This dude, yo, you back Newcastle, just worry about Newcastle. There's enough there to talk about. There's enough there to talk about how you're owned by the wealthiest man on the planet, and somehow you still are not going to be buying the best players or going for the Premier League title next season. These beliefs are true because as soon as they came in, they started getting into cost-cutting exercises. That was like the first thing they accomplished as soon as Ineos came on board. They're frugal. They hang on to their money. They don't spend it unless they have to, if you will. So that got me thinking, why are they doing this way? Why didn't they go with a Xavi Hernandez? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Ruben Amorim must be the guy who they decided this is the right man to lead us. And there's a lot of arguments for that. I was trying to go with the fact that there are rumors out there that Ruben Amorim has already talked about the summer transfer window or the kinds of players that he wants and what players he wants out. Now, that's very believable. I know it's early, but if you're having meetings with a manager and you're thinking about hiring that manager, you would want to give that manager time, which I'm sure they did, to assess the team. But I think for next season, we need to bring in some fresh ideas. I think Bruno needs to be challenged too. I'm not saying I don't like Bruno, and I'm not saying that I don't think Bruno's a great player, but I want Bruno to get challenged. I want every single player in the squad to have somebody that they have to look over their shoulder for, because they know if they don't have a good game, they could end up on the bench and that guy could be on the field. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video of Semeex Football. Today is going to be a little bit of a strange video because I really have nothing to talk about since nothing has been happening in the world of Manchester United. That's not true. We have a lot to talk about. Prepare to be here a while, so sit down, relax, and let's get right into it. Last week on Sunday, we had a game against West Ham, which we lost 2-1, and following that game, I made a video where I even titled it something like Erik Ten Hag being sacked is inevitable. I was never an Erik Ten Hag out type of guy, but I am definitely a pro Manchester United, and whatever the team needs is what needs to be done, even if that means a manager that I like needs to get sacked or a player that I like needs to be moved on. I knew he was going to get sacked, and actually after I made that video, less than 24 hours after posting it, the rumor was out, or the news was out, that Erik Ten Hag had been let go. I got messages from friends and cousins, and some of you guys even commented and got at me on X, letting me know, like, how did you know? What did you? I didn't know. I didn't hear. It was just common sense. It was logical that the time was up. I had never said that he was going to get sacked, and that was the first time I said it because it felt like the right time, which makes me actually think that early on, when Ineos took over, guys, I was one of these people who was saying seeing kind of the negative sides of a business like Ineos taking over the Manchester United Football Club, and also like the deals that they had with the Glazers. But now I'm starting to see how the deal with the Glazers might actually benefit us as fans. And I'm going to get into that the more I talk about what's going on right now. So keep that in mind. Why do I believe that the deal with the Glazers might actually benefit us as fans? Anyway, get right back to where we left off. So I get messages saying that, how did you know? And I let them know I didn't know. It just made common sense. And actually, if Ineos this time had stuck around with Erik Ten Hag, I would start to really worry, because it kind of ran its course and the man was running out of ideas, and his ideas were just not working, and the team wasn't playing for him. You could just tell. I still think that the biggest issue are the players and the caliber of players in the style that he wants to play, which is very, very forward thinking. And he just leaves a lot of big gaps behind for the counter. And our players are not good enough to not lose the ball. Our players are going to make bad passes and lose the ball in bad areas. Anyways, Erik Ten Hag gets sacked. And the next thing that happens is all the trolls start to come out. We got trolls in our own fan base that I'm probably throwing up on the screen right now, just a clown, who are coming out and partying and celebrating and dancing that a manager got sacked. I don't feel that way. I don't like doing these kind of things. Someone who was actually trying to do his best for us got let go. And sure, he wasn't good enough, and I agree he wasn't good enough. That's why I thought it was time for him to get sacked, but that doesn't mean we need to celebrate his sacking. Let's just be professional about it and move on. Besides, we have other things to worry about. What's next? Okay, you sacked the man, which you should have sacked, so what are you going to do next, Ineos? What are you going to do next, Barada? And this time, Barada, Dan Ashworth, you're all in position, so it's time to do your jobs. But What pissed me off even more than our own fans dancing and celebrating, which I totally understand the sentiment and why they did that, because they were Erik Ten Hag out for a long time. So I get it. And you finally got your wish. So go ahead and celebrate. Just tone it down a little bit. But the thing that pissed me off were the trolls that are not our fans. Like these four guys on their little video who come out and say bad things, talk shit about my club. I think these four people really need to start to worry about their own clubs. Even though Newcastle had a decent day today beating Arsenal, these two guys, I don't know, man. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd worry about my own club. Your club just can't seem to get it over the line, and I don't know if you ever will. Next season, maybe Pep's not around, maybe you'll win, but I doubt it. I think somebody else, like maybe Chelsea's Maresca or maybe Ruben Amorim and Manchester United, find a way to stop your dreams from coming true. So really, just don't talk about my club. Don't talk about my club, especially this dude. This dude, yo, you back Newcastle, just worry about Newcastle. There's enough there to talk about. There's enough there to talk about how you're owned by the wealthiest man on the planet and somehow you still are not going to be buying the best players or going for the Premier League title next season. Enjoy having Eddie Howe as your manager, who I would not take over Erik Ten Hag or Ruben Amorim. So good luck to you. And then you've got the professional players that act like trolls, like this dude, this fucking idiot, who I'm glad we don't have anymore on our squad. How I'm glad I don't need to watch him week in and week out underperform for our squad. He can go underperform for Chelsea all he wants, but honestly, your little wave bye, that's kind of us waving bye to you when you left too, man. You need to worry about your game, start showing up to practice on time, and get back to the player you used to be, because you're slipping, and you're nowhere near the player you used to be back in Dortmund like 3 or 4 years ago now. All right, I'm done with my hate rant. Now on to the important things and the reason why I'm even making this video. As soon as Ineos completed the sacking of Erik Ten Hag, Barada got on a flight, traveled to Portugal, sat down with the president of Sporting, and closed the deal for Ruben Amorim within 48 hours. That is fast. And I was surprised, I was shocked, because it is my belief that when Ineos got in, that their actual goals or their plans were all about two things. Number one, finding some sort of consistent success on the field. But number two, to do that without exceeding too much in expenditures, doing that frugally or not overspending. Well, they kind of proved that these beliefs are true, because as soon as they came in, they started getting into cost-cutting exercises. That was the first thing they accomplished as soon as Ineos came on board. They started cutting costs so much that a lot of people who used to work for Manchester United lost their jobs. And the cost cutting even goes to the extent of where just 2 weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago, they asked Manchester City if they could hitch a ride on their private jet for a couple of the players to go to the Ballon d'Or ceremonies. And they were actually rejected by Manchester City, which is super embarrassing if you think about it, but it is what it is. Ineos has no shame. If they ask a local rival for a ride because it'll save them money, they'll do it. And that's why in my head, it didn't compute that they would go for a manager that's going to cost them 10, 11 million euros to get. And right after they already paid off Erik Ten Hag another 13 or 14 or 15 million euros to sack. That's close to a 25 million euro expenditure to sack a manager and hire a new one, where they could have got a Xavi Hernandez for free. And that's why in my last video, I thought that that's what would happen. Now, I am happy that we didn't go with Xavi when we got to Ruben Amorim. And we'll talk about that too in this video, because I'm going to express my feelings about what I know about Ruben Amorim so far. And I don't know much, but I do know some, and my thoughts and beliefs as to where we're going. We're getting there. But I want to talk a little bit more about Ineos. And these guys are like what Americans would call penny pinchers. You know what I mean? They're frugal. They hang on to their money. They don't spend it unless they have to, if you will. So that got me thinking, why are they doing this way? Why didn't they go with a Xavi Hernandez? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Ruben Amorim must be the guy who they decided this is the right man to lead us. And there's a lot of arguments for that. Number one being he got to Sporting, where Sporting hadn't won a title in 19 years. And ever since he's been there, they've been a force to reckon with. And they've won 2 titles in 4 years, and they're undefeated this year. And undefeated is not even the right word. They're perfect this year. because undefeated means you haven't lost a game. Well, they haven't drawn a game either. They've done nothing but win games, so they're perfect this year. And that makes sense. The guy has proven that he can manage, even though the system is completely different than anything Manchester United has ever done in the past, and we're going to talk about that too. But let's get back to Ineos, because that's where I was trying to go with this. So my thought process was, why would Ineos take a financial hit like this to hire Ruben Amorim, even if they do believe he's the right guy? But they're not. You can't be sure he's the right guy. There's an obvious chance that he might fail, right? But they took this risk. Well, it got me thinking that Ineos is not the majority stakeholder in Manchester United. They're still the minority stakeholder. And in the deal that they made with the Glazers, I guarantee you there are stipulations of milestones and timeframes that they'd have to like reach those milestones for them to continue to have the footballing control of the club. There is no way the Glazers sold minority stake in the club and gave somebody footballing control for an unlimited amount of time. There are definitely stipulations where they have to deliver on said milestones, or else they're going to lose their footballing control. And that might be 3 years, that might be 5 years, I don't know. But I do remember stories about where there is a 3-year window, and afterwards the Glazers can force Ineos to sell their shares for a minimum of whatever they paid for it to another bidder who is willing to come and buy the whole club. So, with that said, if Ineos has some milestones to hit within 2 or 3 years, I'm guessing 3 years, within 3 years, and year one is halfway through right now with Ineos in charge, or almost a year in, because I think they took over in February, this means that they had to move fast and they had to gamble on the guy who they think is actually going to get them there. This works out for us. This is what I was talking about when I said the Glazers deal with Ineos might actually work out for us fans. If this is true, that means Ineos is under pressure. So even though they're doing cost-cutting exercises on the business end, they can't really participate in too much cost-cutting exercises on the footballing end, because they need the footballing end to actually pull through and come through. Now, going back to the gamble that they're making, this gamble is huge for them if the stipulations I think are in place are actually in place. I do really believe this because, again, there were stories in the past that said that there was a 3-year window, 2.5-year or 3-year window, where afterwards the Glazers can force Ineos to sell for that price that they paid. So they wouldn't take a loss, but they'd have to sell their shares. They can't just say, no, I'm not selling. But that was all conditioned on performance. And also on showing that they can buy the shares themselves if the Glazers wish to relinquish all their shares. So back to what we care about most. Ruben Amorim. Ineos' gamble on Ruben Amorim and what this means. So what this actually means is that this appointment of Ruben Amorim by Ineos has to go right. It cannot fail. They need to have a good season next season. They can't afford to have a horrible season next season, and they need to salvage whatever they can out of this season. Because even though it's true that we're not even halfway done with this season, and technically there's enough time and enough games to get us back into the top 4 race for this season, I really don't think that Ruben Amorim needs to change his playing style or try to accommodate the players that we have, because what's more important is that we do not fail next season. And to do that, he probably has to run his style for at least a half a dozen games. If he needs to make adjustments afterwards just to win games, that's fine. But he needs to run his style for about a half a dozen games until he figures out where our weaknesses are, and why we are unsuccessful at running his 3-4-3 football. And this is going to basically bring us to the summer transfer window. I think maybe in January we pick up a left back. At least I hope we do, because I swear to God we cannot be counting on Luke Shaw or Tyrell Malacia anymore. I do have a problem with names. Anybody who's been with this channel for a long time knows I'm not great with names or pronouncing names, so stick with me. Tyrell Malacia and Luke Shaw are afterthoughts. They cannot be starters. They are great backups to have, so that, for the most part, they're sitting on the bench, so that whenever we need a backup left back, one or the other can be healthy enough to play. And the reason why I say that is because I think it'd be really, really tough to unload either one of these guys. Luke Shaw would probably want a lot of money, and other teams are probably going to look at his injury record and go, I'm not paying a guy that might not be able to play a season. Anyway, and I don't want to get rid of them, but I do think we need to be thinking high caliber left back. And and we don't have to get him in January if we're able to bag a free agent like Alphonso Davies for next summer, because in January we can make that deal happen if Alphonso Davies is willing to come to our team, which I really hope he is, and I hope we pay him a nice bonus, a signing on bonus, so he doesn't even think about going to Real Madrid, because I really think Real Madrid is probably where he's going to end up, because I think he's a great left wing back, and he probably would fit Ruben Amorim's system to the T. That guy is like perfect for, he's an attacking threat like you wouldn't believe, and he's got enough pace and the engine to be able to run back and help defend. So anyways, that's not where I was trying to go. This was not supposed to be an Alphonso Davies rant. I was trying to go with the fact that there are rumors out there that Ruben Amorim has already talked about the summer transfer window, or the kinds of players that he wants and what players he wants out. Now, that's very believable. I know it's early, but if you're having meetings with a manager and you're thinking about hiring that manager, you would want to give that manager time, which I'm sure they did, to assess the team, study the data, and get back to you with what he thinks the team needs. I'm sure they do that with every possible manager hire, because they want to know before they sign a contract and make a deal that this man is someone that isn't going to want a complete overhaul of every player, that there are players that fit his system, and obviously there's always going to be players that don't fit his system that he's going to want to replace. And the kinds of names we heard that he wants out are Casemiro, Eriksen, Antony, and there was one more. I can't remember right now. Oh, Lindelof. And those four names actually do make sense, if not for aging or just not performing, or maybe not just not having the legs to perform under a Ruben Amorim system, like say an Eriksen or Casemiro. And then there were rumors of people that Manchester United are already talking to or have concrete interest in, like the Alphonso Davies rumor that came out, that they're from Florian Pettenberg, I think, who's actually a decent source, and that the Manchester United has made their interest concrete, and they're starting to talk to Alphonso Davies' people or manager to see if there's a possibility that he would want to join Manchester United when he's a free agent next summer. These are good things. These are exactly the kind of prep work that needs to start being done from now, not just for the January transfer window. I'm thinking about next summer, which I'm sure Ineos has to be thinking about too. Again, I'm not saying that this season is a throwaway. It's not. You bring in your new manager, you let him work with the squad that you have, and hopefully this new manager works them better than the last manager did, and we start getting more wins in. Maybe we can finish in the top four, maybe we don't, but we can't be any worse than 14th or 13th right now because of the results that came in today. But really, the goal is to find out what you need to do next summer, how much it's going to cost, and then making sure that you have the FFP room for it. And if not, you start making moves and more cost cutting or more revenue generating moves to make sure that you do have FFP space for it. And that is a possible thing to do. That's why we have someone like Barada in right now. I said this a long time ago that I'm actually waiting to hear something by summer of next year. So this season, by the end of this season, that Barada made a new sponsorship deal that's maybe not record breaking, but that brings in more revenue that we didn't have, or some sort of revenue avenue that we didn't think of before, that other CEOs never thought of. So Barada is known to be able to do these kind of things for these clubs like Barcelona or Manchester City. He generated revenue for them using intelligent or new ideas. And I think that Barada is going to do that for us too, and that should solve some of our FFP issues. And I don't even think we have that many actual big FFP issues. But we will if we finish in 13th place. I don't think we will. I think Ruben Amorim coming in will do something in the top 7, hopefully top 4 or 5, whatever we need to be in the Champions League. But I think we'll get a Europa League spot with Ruben Amorim, and I just don't think he's that kind of person that can lose more than 1 or 2 games before he figures out a solution. Because remember, when he got his first job in Portugal, he lost 2 games in a row, his first 2 games, and then he said, if I lose the next one, I will resign. And then he had like an incredible undefeated run afterwards by making a couple of tweaks. Like, this guy is proven that he knows football, he knows how to make real adjustments, and he knows how to get the most out of the players that he has. So I have no doubt that we're going to play better football moving forward once Amorim gets in than we were playing under Erik Ten Hag. So I'm not worried about that. So let's just talk about what I am worried about, or the things that are on my mind. I know it's early, but I'm actually thinking about next summer already. I really need to believe now, after seeing these moves, that Ineos is actually going to spend some money. They're going to reach their hands into the Manchester United pockets and spend some money on actual high-tier players. Not everybody's got to be this young player like a Garnacho or a Diallo or a Lenny Yoro even, who I love, and that's why he's right there behind me, because I think Lenny Yoro is going to be amazing in this system once he's healthy. But still, we need some proven, skillful winners that have been there or done that, or, and that's why the recent link that I saw to Jamal Musiala was freaking amazing. It blew me away. I was like, oh my God, Ineos is thinking the right way, because in the Ruben Amorim system, we need more than just wide players. Like, we've got a lot of wide players now. We got the Garnachos, we got the Rashford, we have the Amad Diallo, and we have Anthony. We don't need any more wide players. We need those in the pocket players that Ruben Amorim that thrive under a Ruben Amorim system, like Trincao does in his system over at Sporting. We need those players that can play in those pockets, like Foden does for Man City, who else? Like almost like a false nine, but not really a false nine. These little players that can be really creative in the pockets. And I know that Bruno Fernandes is going to be the one he depends on for that right now. But I think for next season, we need to bring in some fresh ideas. I think Bruno needs to be challenged too. I'm not saying I don't like Bruno, and I'm not saying that I don't think Bruno's a great player, but I want Bruno to get challenged. I want every single player in the squad to have somebody that they have to look over their shoulder for, because they know if they don't have a good game, they could end up on the bench and that guy could be on the field. That's why Bruno does so well for Portugal, I believe, because if he has a bad game, Portugal's got 3 other guys on the bench that can do what Bruno does. Maybe not to the same extent that Bruno does it, and maybe a little differently than Bruno does it, but they can play that position and they can cause or create chances. Also, I just think that it will help Bruno perform better, and even if the other guy is super good, then you play them both together. There's no problem there. So this is not me saying that I want Bruno on the bench. This is me saying that every single player should be stimulated and challenged to perform at their best. And that's why when I hear names like Jamal Musiala, well, he's still kind of young, and he's also really good. And then I also see and read things like we're looking at Rodrigo, Camavinga, if there's room for them to come in, if Real Madrid might be wanting to not get rid of them, but if they want out. Because what's happening, especially in Rodrigo's case, is he's finding it really hard to find playing time. It's really hard for Rodrigo to get playing time, not that Mbappe is there. And other than Mbappe, I think they're going to get another striker in. I really do. I don't want to... This sounds like a little bit of a pipe dream, but this is such a Real Madrid thing to do. If Pep retires, I think within the next season, like next summer or the summer after, Erling Haaland probably ends up at Real Madrid. Am I wrong or right? I don't know. I just can't imagine Erling Haaland without Pep Guardiola sitting down going, yeah, I'm all right to play the rest of my career at Man City. I doubt it. Who the hell would want to play at Man City if Pep Guardiola wasn't there, if they had options to go to a club like Real Madrid? Think about it. Like, man, if you're a Man City fan, I don't know what you're doing here on my channel anyway, but if you... Man City is nobody. Really, they aren't. They have no history. Yes, they're a powerhouse now because of the oil money that they got and because of Pep Guardiola, but you take that away and you have somebody come in from like Real Madrid and say, hey, you want to come play for us after you've already spent 4 or 5 seasons at Man City? You're going to want to go and try your luck at Real Madrid and see if you can, become a legend over there. Plus, living in Spain is probably a lot better than living in Manchester. With that said, that means even more to Rodrigo, like less playing time, for Rodrigo, who's already having a hard time finding a lot of playing time. So those are things that might be possibilities that we should be looking into, and I'm glad to see these rumors, even if they're false. I'm glad to see these rumors come up because I think that we need to start hearing these kind of names, this kind of caliber, and this kind of like Ineos needs to show that they're serious. But here's the thing. I'm going to go right back to what I said earlier. Ineos probably has to be serious because of their agreement with the Glazers, which is great. So this is the first time that I'm saying first time ever in my life that I'm saying that something the Glazers did or a deal the Glazers made is probably going to work to our benefit as fans, even though they did it to protect their own asses and their own assets and their own wealth. They didn't do it for us. They do it for themselves. But in doing it for themselves, they've actually put the screws and the tension on Ineos to perform. This is not like their other club in France, which Nice. This is not like Nice, where they can take their time, hire and fire managers, which it was like a record in their first 5 seasons at Nice. They had 6 managers that they hired and fired. They can't do that here. They don't have that many years to get it right. They have to get it right soon. So that is something we can all rest assured and hang our hat on, that they're going to be doing whatever they have to do to succeed. And maybe those cost-cutting exercises that they did in the first year with the team was so they can afford to spend and get it right by the second year. And also, maybe that's why they didn't let go of Erik Ten Hag the first time when they were thinking about letting go of him, because they knew that if they brought somebody new, they were going to have to make a marquee signing for that person, and they didn't want to spend that kind of money because they already knew that they needed to get these 3 guys or people of their profile in, and an Ugarte type of profile in, which was already going to cost them a bunch of money. And they were like, we can't also make a marquee signing, even though I think Lenny Yoro is a marquee signing, but that's not proven yet. Lenny Yoro needs to go out and prove that he was a marquee signing. He's got to do that by stepping on the field and playing some unbelievable games and maturing into a defender that we all think he can mature into. I think this guy can be a really good defender, but also someone who could distribute the ball from the back and also someone who could progress the ball forward. I'm really dying to see what Lenny Yoro does in a Ruben Amorim system. Anyway, guys, that is a lot of talking today, and I have talked myself out, and I need to go drink something because my throat's starting to get dry. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, I haven't asked for a like or subscribe in the last 5 videos. The reason why is because I didn't think I deserved to ask for your like or subscribe in the last 5 videos. But I'm going to be honest with you. The last 5 videos haven't gotten over 240 views per video. Probably because it's not getting that many likes and people aren't clicking the subscribe button. I've only gotten 1 new subscriber in the last 4 videos, which is really sad, but it's okay. I didn't think I deserved it, to be honest with you, because I hadn't been making videos because my computer broke down, and it took me a while to get a new computer in and now to do these edits that I just did in this video. And I know it's not as much as I used to do, but I'm working on getting more assets together so I can make more edits and make these videos flow better and view better. But guys, please do me a favor. If you're here, drop a like, subscribe, share the video with people. Like I said, let's get this community growing again. It used to grow a lot. I used to get 30 to 40 new subscribers per video. I've only gotten 2 new subscribers or 3 new subscribers in the last 5 videos. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being with me. I will be back soon. Can't wait for Ruben Amorim to start. Of course, we have a game against Chelsea today when you're watching this, and I'll be watching, but really, in my head, all I keep thinking about is what is it going to look like when Ruben Amorim takes over. I do want Van Nistelrooy to do a great job. I hope he does, just in case Ruben doesn't want to keep him around. Most of our interim managers or our managers ended up with really good jobs after they've been let go by us. Most of them. I know Solskjaer hasn't had a job yet, but most of our managers end up at really good spots, or assistant managers end up at really good spots. So I'm hoping the same thing for Van Nistelrooy if he can't stick around and work with Ruben. Let's watch the game. Let's root for him. Win or lose, it does matter. Don't get me wrong, but I'm much more interested into what happens once Ruben gets in the door. I will make a video soon, guys. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Drop comments below. Let me know what you think of anything I said today. And I hope I covered everything I wanted to cover. Oh, I did not. I wanted to talk about Vinicius Jr. and how he got robbed by the Ballon d'Or votes and that what I think it is. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you, even though I wanted to talk about this for a long time, I'm just going to say it real quick, and it's not going to sound good, but I think it's because of racism, to be honest with you, because I saw this interview with Seferin or whatever name the UEFA guy is, and he said things like, go watch Vinicius games last year, look at how he treated the ref and his personality, or like how he treated football or whatever. And here's the thing, like, I didn't know the Ballon d'Or was an award given to people who are nice to refs or who don't bitch and moan, because if that's the truth, then Cristiano Ronaldo wouldn't have won so many awards because he bitches and moans all the time, right? Like, he didn't act right, but he was the best player in the world when he won those Ballon d'Ors. And that's what the award should be about. Yes, Rodri is a great player. I confess that Rodri, even though he's a Man City player, I understand he's amazing. He's a super valuable player. But is he valued more and better than Vinicius Jr.? No, he's not. I think that Vinicius Jr. in the marketing photos for the Ballon d'Or just doesn't look like someone UEFA wanted to be as their poster child of football. Yeah, think about how many times Messi won it when we thought Messi doesn't deserve it. Even though I love Messi, I think Messi's a great player. But think about at least, I can think of at least one year where Messi didn't deserve it and he won it. And that's just because that's who they want as their poster child. I don't think they wanted Vinny as their poster child holding up that Ballon d'Or trophy. I really don't. That's my feelings. I don't know how you feel. Drop a comment below. Thank you again for being with me. Like and subscribe. See ya.